So, have you heard about Telltale, what they're doing now?
Having another boring game.
Oh my God.
You derailed me before
Are
I
you
even
serious?
got into it.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You liked one of the
What?
games.
You liked
I liked
Wolf
one.
Among Us?
Okay, I liked one.
I can't believe you didn't like Walking Dead. You just...
You
anyway.
didn't even get through the first episode.
All right, for people who like good games...
yeah, I like good games.
Yeah.
Well, you like Mass Effect, so clearly you don't.
Well, and this is a really story-based company, so I know Frozen North probably likes them.
I do.
Yeah.
Anyway, JJ's played them.
Well, they're going to merge the story and gaming aspect even further. They're going to do something called a super show, where you play the first half as if it's a video game, and then you watch the second like a television show. So you make all these choices, you play the game, and then you watch.
I wonder when they're actually...
That's really weird.
I wonder when they're just going to quit even just making the game part.
Sometimes
and just watch it.
I mean, that's pretty much all you do in the games. Like, oh, I'm walking over here. Oh,
Yeah,
select A.
I agree. Sometimes it does feel like the quote-unquote gameplay is just a formality, so they can call it a video game.
It's like I just push forward and now I'm talking to somebody else.
But those stories, man, I'm excited for it to be more like a TV show.
I think it gets to a point where it's like, just make a TV show.
Yeah, but
if you really want to make a TV show, just make a web series using digital assets and then make a game.
But it's like a TV show that you can immerse yourself in even further. Because, I mean, you click buttons and you feel like, oh, I made a choice. It's like a choose-your-own-adventure TV show.
But I don't like the fact that, like, oh, I'm walking across this entire room and now I just do one single thing. Like, just like, you just walk. Why don't just cut to the next scene and I'll just select what I want to do.
To be fair, the real point of those games is to force you to make horrible decisions.
Oh, and those moments where
even
you're
though there's no right choice, but you still feel guilty no matter what you do.
That's fine.
And I don't feel guilty when I watch another character in a TV show make a choice.
Yeah, you're like, that was a shitty choice. Right. Well, and I've done that thing where I'm like, oh no, I ruined everything. I got to replay, and then it's just another terrible thing happens.
What's like Spec Ops: The Line, where you're forced to have agency and truly reprehensible actions.
Exactly.
That's a
where
good
you have to think about it a lot differently than if you just watched that as a war movie.
Right.
So,
I actually read an interesting dissection of House of Cards where they said the whole point dissection.
Dissection.
I have a cough drop in my mouth because I'm
dissection.
sick. But
it was an intentional portmanteau since we're talking about games.
Exactly. But no, they said the reason for the asides where he turns to the camera and talks to the audience is to make the audience feel complicit in all of his horrible actions.
Interesting.
So that kind of feels very
right.
Yeah.
Telltale games.
You're in on it with him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it feels like Kevin Spacey's talking to you in this southern accent that is like honey in your ear.
Mm-hmm.
Have you watched that
Sweet
third
honey.
season?
No. I need to actually watch all the second season, which I'm going to do now because I'm playing a little bit of WoW, and I also have a second monitor again, so I can just watch it.
That is not how it's intended to be watched.
I don't care. I do what I want.
You cannot play WoW.
Sure I can.
And then
The Fool's Lantern, Episode 2, McGuffins, Plot Devices, and You.
Howdy, y'all!
That hurt.
I can't. Every time I laugh. You're listening to the Fool's Lantern podcast, where we discuss current and classic TV and force ourselves to watch the shows we hate. You can check us out on Twitter at Fool's Lantern and email us at foolslanternpodcast@gmail.com. Please subscribe to and rate us on iTunes now that Patrick has us up on there. Good job, Patrick.
I hate iTunes.
it only took like
We're
a
super
week and a half.
iTunesy.
Week and a half? I thought it was longer. I felt like longer because every time I looked at... Now I can't even look at iTunes without, like, cringing.
Right. You can also check us out on our website, fngaming.net. So what have you guys been watching?
I'm only going to highlight a few that I've been watching. This is Shanna, by the way. Whoop, whoop. Okay. So I just watched The Slap. That's a new show on NBC, the second episode. And I really like this show. It feels very literary, and that makes, because there's this narrator and they get into these complex characters and these situations, and it's very well directed and looks great. And it's actually based off an Australian show, which is based on a novel. and I think I'm excited for this one.
Nice.
Also, 3 words, Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
That's
really good.
Really surprisingly good.
It's so good.
We're 1 episode behind, I think.
Yeah, we're
2
one.
Episodes behind.
I've only seen the first 3 episodes because we don't have cable. But
Right.
yeah, I really liked it. The first episode, I don't have many complaints overall. I love it, but things were a little bit too convenient for me. Does that make sense? If you've watched, I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but
I can say he runs into a certain character, and
Yeah.
that kind
and
of
it's
gets things
like,
rolling.
oh, hey, remember? This is the prequel to Breaking Bad.
I felt that was weird, especially since I'm assuming he will, but in the 3 episodes I've seen, he hasn't done anything important.
Right.
Maybe I think I'm further than you. He stuff
Don't
happens.
spoil. Yeah.
Stuff happens. And
I
we're
mean,
done.
when you think about it,
That's the episode.
when you think about it, I mean, they kind of have to bring him back. Like they met, they've known each other before we knew him.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he definitely needed to come in at some point since this is that whole prequel, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
just thought it kind of conveniently dropped into place.
The third show I'm going to bring up is Parks and Rec. I just watched the series finale, and I thought that was just an incredibly sweet, awesome finale.
Yeah,
It kind
it
of
was.
gives you an epilogue of all your characters and really feels complete in a way that I haven't seen a series finale
Right.
feel complete.
It felt really honest the way they handled the whole last season, where they showed all the characters growing apart, and then on the final episode, they called it One Last Ride. They got back together and did something like they would have if they were still part of the parks department. And it was a little tribute to each character.
Yeah.
They did a little flash forward, showed what happened to them,
Yeah.
and it was great.
Yeah, what's the next new NBC comedy? Who knows? But that one
Yeah,
is
NBC's
over.
got nothing now.
Yeah. And kind of on that same note, too, there's that news about Harris Whittles
Yep.
passing away, which was,
So sad.
yeah. Dan
Yeah.
Harmon had a very nice tribute to him on his Harmontown podcast this weekend, which I would recommend listening to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sad.
Yeah, pretty sad.
Yeah. So that's what I've been watching.
What about you, Tank?
I have been watching my usual trove of comic book adaptation TV shows. I've been watching Constantine, The Flash, Arrow, and Gotham.
Nice.
I think Constantine and The Flash are the ones I'm enjoying the most out of those.
Mm-hmm.
Gotham is just... It's like a train wreck in slow motion at this point.
Yeah.
Gotham.
It seems like
It's Batman babies, and they're really rolling with that way more than I wanted them to. So,
they should really be slow playing that and make it all about Gordon.
yeah. I had wished that they would focus more on Gordon and like dealing with organized crime than this guy's going to be a supervillain in 20 years.
Right. So it's like constantly winking at the camera.
Yeah, like he meets a young Jonathan Crane, he meets a young Poison Ivy.
And that's exactly what I was afraid of when I saw
The Riddler is Edward Nygma, the Gotham PD's forensics guy. I mean, it's just this obvious hitting it on the head really hard week after week after week after week.
Sounds tiring.
And then young Bruce Wayne just keeps showing up and doing pointless garbage, along with young Catwoman. And it's so obnoxious. If they would have just made it its own thing, it'd be great. Like there's a really good comic book series called GCPD that's about cops in Gotham, and Batman never shows up. It's just cops in Gotham, and it's a really good series. They could have rolled with that, but they didn't.
Unfortunate. Going off of that, I actually just finished episode 22 of season 2 of The Arrow.
Oh, is that the end of the season?
It is one episode before the end of the season. I had to stop so I could get ready to do the show.
Right.
It was tough to stop because it was a lot of revelations there.
Deathstroke running wild.
Yes, a lot of stuff happening in. I want to say Central City, but it's
Star City.
Starling
at that
Starling
time.
City.
They rename it to Star City in the next season for no apparent reason, so that it has the same name as the comic books.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
I guess if they're getting closer to the comic books, that's a good thing.
Right.
But it's really good. It's been a much more exciting season than the last one.
Yeah, definitely.
I also watched, obviously, Parks and Rec and The Kroll Show, which is in its final season now. It's definitely an acquired taste. I didn't like it at first. The first season was weird, but then I kind of got into it. It's sort of a parody of reality TV in general, and sometimes public broadcast television as well.
Well, and you know why it's the last season, right?
Well, on
he chose it. Like, he could have done more seasons, but Nick Kroll was really inspired by like these Australian sketch shows that you see, or the British shows where they tell their story. They're done, get out of there. So he could have had many more seasons, but he felt like his characters were kind of coming to a close.
Yeah,
on their little storyline. So I respect that. Yeah.
He's got some really annoying characters. I wouldn't recommend it to everyone, but if you like to see how he deconstructs the structure of reality TV, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I respect that a lot when creators do that. Like, they want their show to end on their terms.
Yeah.
Seinfeld did that, and
Corner Gas did that.
Breaking Bad.
Parks and Rec actually did
Lost
that too.
did not do that, and we saw how well that worked out.
What about you, Stitch?
The main thing I watched was Better Call Saul. Like me and my parents got caught up on that when I went up to see them last weekend, and I liked it a lot. They at first were really kind of like, they're like, this is boring, and then by the third or fourth episode, I can't remember how many we watched, like that's when it started getting good and they got into it. But they're interesting when it comes to trying to figure out what they like.
Yeah. I wasn't really sold on it until the scene where he's out in the desert, kind of wheeling and dealing with the criminal element.
Yeah, I like using criminal logic to solve a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Like when he just goes down to their level and is like, all right, what can we do here?
So it just demonstrates how good he is at what he is, that he can just like so quickly go from trying to be like, I don't know, get me out of this, to hang on a minute, let's rub shoulders here. Let's
negotiate.
Let's come to something that's going to work for everybody.
Yeah.
Had your parents watch Breaking Bad?
Like up to like they're on like the last season, but then they kind of just stopped watching.
What?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Like I said, they're kind of weird about that stuff because like my dad's like, just like when I watch that show, it's like my soul just gets blackened or something.
It does.
It's just because it's just such a black humor kind of thing where it's just kind of like depressing.
It is unbelievable.
Yeah, my mom was the same way. She doesn't like to watch it because it's
parents.
Oh no,
pretty dark.
I mean, they liked it a lot. They liked it like Breaking Bad a lot. It's just like that last season is kind of like they haven't really gotten around it.
There's no happy ending in Vince, or I don't think there will. Well,
well, people knew that. People knew that. So that's what we've been watching, and now it's time for news.
All right, I've got some news for you. First one is just a small news story. Craig Ferguson, he's leaving the Late Late Show, excuse me. And we all know that, but he's actually going to be starring in an ABC scripted comedy. It follows an agoraphobic recluse, Prentice Porter, played by Ferguson, who ventures outside for the first time in 20 years, only to find his potential soulmate moving into the building across the street.
Uh-oh.
What network is that going to be on?
ABC? Yeah.
That feels like cancellation fodder.
I like Craig Ferguson a lot, but that sounds like an ABC sitcom.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. It might take off. I liked him in the Drew Carey show. So
yeah, definitely.
All right. The next one, I did this just for you and Mark and Tank. The CW is developing a DC Comics superhero spinoff featuring characters and actors from both The Flash and Arrow. So this one's going to follow the Atom.
Oh, nice.
Which I don't really know anything about that, but I thought you guys might think
There's
it's
some
cool.
spoilers in season 3 that I haven't seen yet.
They've been teasing him throughout season 3.
And we'll post the article, but I will warn you, there are spoilers for season 3 in that article.
So I'll have to blindly post it to the website.
Yeah, do not read it. The other news story I have, everybody already knows this, but Daily Show host Jon Stewart is stepping down. He hasn't worked out the details of when exactly that will be. But, now I can have some wild speculation about who the new Daily Show host is going to be.
Yeah, there's not a good replacement for him.
And I think really he's probably stepping down for his WWE feud with Seth Rollins. That's
the reason.
Yeah. It's a
Definitely.
promising new direction for him.
Man, if he goes and starts wrestling, that'll be the best thing. That would be the best thing in the world.
That would be really good for the WWE.
They've been building it up for a few weeks. It's pretty good.
Nice.
I'm going to end with some sad news. Harris Whittles passed away. I know we discussed that when we talked about Parks and Rec, but he was one of the more notable writers of Parks and Recreation. And this one really kind of hit me hard because I listened to a lot of Earwolf podcasts, and he was really one to watch for me. So it's a sad day for comedy.
Yeah, it really is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He was just so casually, offhandedly funny, and I
think he was like
jokes.
27 or 28.
He was 30.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's very young.
But still, he had so much more to do, and I really liked his voice, so we will miss him. Last news is Leonard Nimoy has also passed away. And
in case you haven't known from 1,000 Facebook posts and everywhere you turn on the internet.
Someone sounds
he
bitter.
was a very important
That's
actor.
fine.
And actually, a lot of people who have Asperger's have looked up to him as a role model, as Spock, this logical, emotionless guy who's also this lovable character.
Right.
Is somebody who they've been able to relate to. But, he wasn't just Spock. He was also an artist and a poet. And I'm sure you've heard all the obituary stuff. So I'm just going to let Tank read some poetry from one of Leonard Nimoy's books.
Yeah, it's a book I actually got as a gift a few years ago from the 1977, a collection of his poems. So he has here, I am convinced that if all mankind could only gather together in one circle, arms on each other's shoulders, and dance, laugh, and cry together, that much of the tension and burden of life would fall away. In the knowledge that we are all children, needing and wanting each other's comfort and understanding, we are all children searching for love.
All right, for Showcase, we are watching the 2014 FX television series Fargo. Every episode of The Fool's Lantern will cover 2 episodes, spoilers and all. So let's get started. This week we watched episodes 3 and 4, which were both directed by Randall Einhorn. He's also directed several episodes of The Office, Always Sunny, and I think every episode of Wilfred. So Tank, what happened in episode 3?
Episode 3 starts off with a very nervous-looking man sitting at his desk. It's obvious from his desk aquarium that he's not been doing anything for at least 15 minutes. He's definitely acting pretty paranoid, looking nervously over his shoulder, and finally he sees our good friend Lauren Malvo, shockingly unafraid to be seen by everyone and every camera in the office. Grab him, drag him down to the garage, cut off his clothes, and stuff him in the trunk of his car for his inevitable date with being Chekhov's frozen dead guy.
That's right.
So that kind of is where the episode opens up with this guy. I don't know if they said his name at any point.
I
think they must have somewhere, like the police probably.
I thought they made a point of just saying the frozen dead guy every time they talked about him. Like I don't think they actually give a name.
It's kind of he's a weird little lingering thing because he's they're sort of investigating him, but also no one really seems to care.
Yeah. Well, and when I first saw that scene of him dragging this guy out, I'm like, dude, is he a mastermind or not? This seems ridiculous. But Lauren Malvo, the character, kind of likes to make things interesting. He likes to leave breadcrumbs and see if they and beat them anyway. He likes to be able to say, "Oh yeah, I'm getting away with it," even though I've left you so much evidence.
Yeah,
he's clearly not someone who's just obsessed with being really good at getting away with stuff. He likes twisting the knife and seeing what happens. So it kind of makes sense, like you just said. So that happens. We realize that we're seeing sort of a flashback.
Right, and this is kind of whatever we saw with that guy running off before, this is maybe going to be more important than we thought. And then we go to Molly, our detective friend from Bemidji, heading out to, I believe it was Duluth, where he was taken from, and interviewing the people at the office, not spreading rumors about Bob. Just that whole scene there was fantastic. I thought everyone spreading terrible rumors about him and then getting on Bob.
Yep. Yeah. Let's not spread rumors about Bob, but it was definitely gambling.
Yeah.
And then Molly's watching the surveillance tape with a perfectly clear shot of Lauren Malvo looking right into the camera, at which point she says, it's hard to tell much.
Yeah.
That was my biggest gripe with this episode, but let's move right along.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any thoughts on the continuing investigation of Molly?
Oh, Molly? I love Molly. I think
she's a great character.
She's one of my favorites. Her dynamic with Colin Hanks' character, Grimley, is one of my favorite parts of the show as well.
Yeah.
That and Mr. Wrench and Mr. Numbers are the best dynamic I think they've got going right now.
Kind of like the one of the things I like about Molly is she actually just looks like a normal person. She's
yeah,
not like
I love that.
The fact that
right.
she's
not super cop.
Well, she's not super cop, and Like, she's not this, super duper pretty, obviously an actress kind of a person. She's very, like, she
could be Minnesotan. Is what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or wait, yeah. For this one, I like her relationship with Grimley in that they're both kind of sidelined and for different reasons.
Right.
Like, Grimley's seen as this incompetent, and he is, to be fair. He is kind of an incompetent cop.
Incompetent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an actual word. Wait.
Good job.
What did you think I said?
Yeah, incompetent is what I was thinking you were trying to say. Then I realized that you actually said a word.
I said incompetent, didn't I? Or did it not?
You said inconfident. But
I said incompetent.
Incompetent.
This is great radio.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Excuse me.
Edit point.
Anyway, but yeah. And Molly is this super capable, incredibly detailed deputy, and she's tenacious and wants to get it solved. And she's just sidelined, and she's finding an ally in Grimley just to,
Right.
Nobody else wants to.
He's definitely demonstrating that he's pretty tenacious, too, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, he got scared for his daughter and made a huge mistake. Mm-hmm. But he's now willing to put himself on the line to try and correct that.
Exactly. He doesn't just try and bury it. He realizes and he tells his boss. Mm-hmm. And he's told to go up and tell the Bemidji Police Department what happened.
Right. Yeah. One of the things I like what's going on, like went on in the episode, is basically when, like she or probably throughout the series, kind of, she doesn't seem like she's really all that bitter about Bob Odenkirk. I forget what his actual name is.
I wouldn't say that. She seems pretty bitter about it.
Yeah, but
she knows not to, question her superiors.
Right. Yeah, but at the same time, she's trying to skirt around getting sidelined so bad.
Right. She's not letting it get her down.
Yeah.
Right. So after a little follow-up there with that investigation, we find out what Lauren Malvo is up to in the here and now, which is tracking down the personal trainer who is attempting to blackmail the supermarket king.
Yeah, this is probably one of my favorite parts of the episode.
This was a fantastic bit, their conversation in the closet there, where he's just telling him, one of my quotes of the week, that I am the consequence.
Which turns out not
a great
to be,
discussion.
Ends up not being that much of a consequence because he just tells him, I'm taking over your blackmail.
Right.
You think he's there to take care of him,
right?
But he'd rather blackmail Stavros Milos.
We've also seen, though, that he's not a big fan of leaving loose ends, so the consequence is going to catch up with everybody in the end. Mm-hmm. So then from there, we find out that Lester is being dispatched out to the widow Hess's household to get the form signed for their insurance payment, at which point things get uncomfortable for everyone involved.
Well, not for everyone involved.
Yeah, not for the widow Hess.
Yeah.
That's true.
She seemed very comfortable.
Yep.
Yeah, we find out that definitely they did not have the warmest relationship. Mm-hmm. And she definitely doesn't have very warm feelings for her children, who apparently fart on each other.
Yep. I think she actually said something along the lines of she's had bowel movements that she's more attached to than her kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, I am looking forward to having a running gag of these two injuring each other throughout this season. So far, they've broken the collarbone of one, shot the other one with a crossbow.
Yeah.
I hope this continues, and they just continue to horribly injure each other.
So she's in there flirting with
Lester, trying to get that insurance
very
payment.
visibly.
Right.
Yeah. And there's two people who witness it, Mr. Wrench and Mr. Numbers.
Right.
Actually, there are 4 people who witnessed it.
That's true. That's true. Well, 2 important
Actually,
people.
3. I think one of them was too distracted by the crossbow bolt to notice much of anything.
Yeah.
That's true. But yeah, it looks like a very sketchy situation to Mr. Wrench and Mr. Numbers that this guy is showing up right after the death of Sam Hess. And
absolutely. And then still not really having any idea why they're in town, what they're after. Mm-hmm.
So they've just happened upon somebody who had a big influential part in Sam Hess's death by coincidence,
Yeah.
Right.
As far, he was there on perfectly legitimate business, but I like that he got caught anyway.
Yeah, so then we move on and find Lauren Malvo meeting up with the nicest looking illegal pharmacy I've ever seen on television. That guy has a really clean and tidy operation going on in the back of a unmarked van, picking up a bunch of amphetamine for parts unknown.
Adderall, but
Adderall.
Same difference. It has amphetamine in it.
Or the prescription bottle says amphetamine 300 milligrams or something on it.
Yeah.
So
I think it was 30. Sorry, that's details.
Yeah,
right?
calm it down, Stitch. I
think he's on Adderall.
And then I did enjoy the pharmacist's zombie kits that he's selling out of the back of his
that was
truck.
cool.
Nice little emergency preparedness, package, shotgun,
true,
Bactine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Although I do think zombies seem to be a little bit passé in 2014.
It's getting there, definitely.
You know,
Yeah.
what's the next crazy trend going to be that we can start making tired jokes about?
I mean, have we ever not made tired jokes about zombies in the past 50 years?
Yes. It exploded in the 2000s.
It got real bad in the 2000s. But
Yeah, there's never been a time for zombies like this before. It's crazy.
well, hopefully it goes away. We can move on and talk about.
Oh God.
That's my cough drop.
Well, that derailed me. Go ahead.
So he's got his Adderall now.
Right, he's picked up his drugs that are basically speed, as he's told.
Yeah. And he starts
pays the guy off and heads on his way. So Molly meeting up with a girlfriend of hers at a restaurant, and just a scene of fantastic physical performance from Allison Tolman. These faces she's making as her friends describing her dates and her trips and her
her
various escapades.
Terrifying story that she tells.
Right,
there.
which I'm hoping her story about the spider eggs in the neck is not Chekhov's spider eggs. I really hope it's not.
Yeah.
I think it's just supposed to make us think about Lester's wound on his hand. His
Indeed.
oozing wound.
That's actually our next scene here, as we find out that Lester's got a balloon animal attached to his wrist at this point. He needs to get some treatment for that thing.
He does. Because apparently when you get caught going to the pharmacy once by a cop,
right,
you can't ever go back.
Right.
Yeah, that was my big kind of issue with this with these episodes. Like, well, why can't he just go back to the pharmacy? Also, just being able to walk up and getting antibiotics, because that's how that works.
Yeah. I don't know if part of it might be he's potentially a person of interest in a murder, and he has an obvious bullet wound in his hand.
Yeah, it could be.
Although, to me, that's kind of the weak part of that is, he was there when the sheriff was shot with a shotgun. So it's conceivable that he would have gotten some crossfire.
But he was in the basement.
Yeah, he was supposed to be in the basement.
Yeah.
True. Mm-hmm. All right, then we find out that Mr. Milos at his home, Lorne is hanging around, calling his dog out, which I thought terrible weather for a doggy door. I don't know if those are common in Minnesota, but
No.
One of those things that's written in for the show and doesn't make a whole lot of sense practically, but I digress. And then we find out that Lorne Malvo really is truly evil when he kills the dog and replaces the Supermarket King's pain medication with all of this amphetamine.
And at this point, we have no idea why he's doing this.
Right. He's just kind of randomly doing stuff. Leaves another ransom note by the dog's body and heads on his way.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right.
That's a great review.
Okay.
I mean, he kind of literally he just explained everything that happened, so we don't have anything to discuss.
Is that the full episode?
That is just about the end of the episode. There's a few scenes with that I forgot right before this when Mr. Numbers and
Mr. Wrench.
Mr. Wrench,
Is that his name?
yeah, Mr. Numbers and Mr. Wrench come to the insurance agency and
Yeah.
are talking
that
to
was
Lester.
a good scene.
And,
Which I did. I looked up because I've been wondering what these are. The sign language translations for their exchange, and they're quite entertaining. He tells Lester that he is tiny and baby-like. You are running a small business in a small town. You are nothing. The people under the king are killed. You are a joke. You're a tiny bug, and I wish I could squash you.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought the sign language wasn't real when I first saw Mr. Wrench and Mr. Numbers. For some reason, I guess
that was kind of what prompted me to look it up, because I thought it certainly seemed like he was not discussing the topic at hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed that way, but I was.
You
very
thought it
pleased
looked
to find
exaggerated,
out.
but
Yeah.
a lot of times people that do sign language will exaggerate to get across
Show
their
emphasis.
emotions.
It's
of
like
what
yelling.
Exactly. If they're doing it with small motions, they're not yelling.
Right.
If they're swinging their arms around to say stuff, that's the equivalent of yelling.
Right. In the last episode where we saw them with the Sam Hess's agent that was talking to them, he's signing back that he thinks his tie looks ridiculous. So
Well, and I liked when Molly came in after that scene, and Lester had to keep up the alibi of like, oh, thanks for stopping in for insurance.
They just kind of roll with it real well and head out the door.
Yeah, that was great.
Which then Molly does use to cast a little extra suspicion on Lester by accidentally letting that folder slip open with Lauren's picture and seeing him react quite poorly.
Pretty smooth.
Yeah.
So the episode title was The Muddy Road.
It was. Hey, I know what that's talking about.
Oh, good. You go ahead then.
It's actually a Buddhist parable about two monks that meet a beautiful woman trying to cross a muddy road. Mm-hmm. One monk picks her up and carries her across the road and sets her down. And they head on their way. And then as they finally reach their destination, the second monk says, as monks, we're not supposed to touch women. We're not supposed to interact with them. I don't think you should have done that. He says, my friend, I left her back there. Why are you still carrying her?
Yep.
Very
It's about being unburdened.
Yeah. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to confess that I looked that up because I anticipated you asking this question.
Yes. And I'm going to do it again with the next, or I'm going to make you explain the next one as well.
I didn't look up the next one.
Oh, good. Then I'll explain that one.
You've got that one.
So it's about not carrying your burdens with you.
Mm-hmm.
And Lester definitely is with the physical wound that he's carrying right now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And also with some of the emotional ones.
And Molly's carrying that story about neck spiders with her.
That's true. We all are now.
One thing Lester also carried at the end of the episode was his brother's Chekhov's giant machine gun.
That's right.
Yeah, that was great.
You see him firing it, and he's got quite the look on his face.
It's
so does his brother.
Right.
So I liked this episode quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely. We're getting some momentum building up, getting some intrigue.
Yeah. As it's shifting more towards the cops and the surrounding characters, it's gotten a lot more interesting for me.
Yeah, agreed.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So then we watched episode 4. Shannon, do you want to tell us about that?
All right, so episode 4, it opens up on this grainy, Fargo landscape, and it harkens immediately back to the film Fargo.
It sure does.
It doesn't it state it's 1987 on the tile, so that's when the movie Fargo took place. It's a young Milo Stavros and his wife and his little baby, his future Buster, and they're going down the road. It's clear that Milos is in some big trouble financially because he had to get out of town.
Use his last $5 on gas.
Yeah, which was not enough. And they're in this, very punishing landscape, and they break down because of, no gas in the car. The truck passing doesn't stop for him, and Milos gets on his knees and prays to God, like, please let me get out of this situation. I'll be your servant forever. And he sees the iconic red ice scraper, which we all know from the movie.
Yeah.
So as soon as I saw that, I was like,
I got a little excited when I saw that because I remember
too.
you saying last time that this is supposed to be not a sequel, but just in literally the same world.
Yep. And this is the smoking gun that lets us know that's absolutely true.
Right.
Yeah, so we know what's going to happen. Well, and he finds the money that Steve Buscemi's character left behind in the movie and goes, God exists.
Yeah, they showed the ice scraper in an earlier episode.
They did.
Yeah, it was framed and all that.
But my brain did not put 2 and 2 together when I
guess
saw
I must have missed that. I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was like in a cube or something.
At that point, though, it could have just been a tribute.
Right.
This is when it becomes very literal.
Yeah.
Wasn't it William H. Macy who had the briefcase?
No, it's Buscemi when he's driving back. He's been shot in the mouth.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It's been years since I saw that.
Yeah.
You should watch it.
I should. I'm going to wait till after we're done with the show, though.
Just watch it right now.
Yeah.
Okay. See you guys.
Oh, this show. I thought you meant you're done with watching the series.
With the series.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I guess now that I know it's specifically a follow-up rather than a pastiche, it's less harmful to do so. So maybe I will.
Yeah, I really liked that moment a lot.
Yeah.
Linking it to the movie felt very satisfying. I was like, oh, something did happen with that briefcase.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's canon.
You had to imagine something would happen eventually. Like once the snow melted, someone would find it.
Yeah.
But he found it buried in snow.
Convenient red flag marking where it was.
Yes.
Yeah. So then I think the next story we hear is Colin Hanks' character, Grimley. I keep on saying Colin Hanks' character. I think it's just
Colin Hanks.
I love Colin
you can't
Hanks.
discount that.
He's so likable. But yeah, he gets a call to go check out the dead dog deal that's going on with Milo Stavros. And
the murdered canine?
The murdered canine. And obviously, this is the sort of thing the police department probably thinks is, BS work, busy
right, and that's
work.
why it's for Colin Hanks.
And that's why it's for Grimley. So he's on his way to the house.
He's also animal control, don't forget.
Oh, that's true. He does all
He fills in.
He fills in, yeah. So he heads to the house, and who does he see?
Lorne Malvo.
Lorne Malvo, who actually had happened to be standing there because Dennis, I can't remember, Don Chump, the personal trainer, is
pretending to be a plumber
disguised
and
as a
explaining
plumber.
that he can't find how the blood ended up in the shower in the last episode.
Right.
Yeah, so Grimley sees Lorne Malvo. He's like, yes, this is my moment. He's very nervously pulls over. Seems like he doesn't really know how to handle his gun. Seems like he doesn't really know how to handle
anything.
Yeah, right.
Can't, get his
How
door
to arrest
unlocked.
a dangerous
And
character.
Lorne's making a phone call that you only hear just a tiny bit of.
Something that he's ready for a package to be dropped off.
Exactly. And he says a certain name that he uses later in the episode.
It's that package that he picked up where he got his identity and I'm assuming all his alibis and just had to give the word to get all those alibis in place for that specific.
Gotcha.
But anyway, that was my own thought. But they take him on out to the police station, and Lorne Malvo is very menacing in the back of this car, the police car. He says, "You're making a mistake," which is a phrase that Grimley will say later on in the episode.
Well, he actually says, "In about 2 hours here, you're gonna make you're gonna say I made a mistake."
No, that's not what he said.
No, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
He said you're going
He
to
says
say
you're
you're,
gonna be
making a
saying
mistake.
Yeah, he's not going to say I made a mistake.
Oh,
That's what
Stitch just explained it bad.
Oh yeah,
That's what
yeah.
he meant.
Yeah, but anyway. So yeah, he predicts that.
So they get to the police station, and he steals the desk clerk's glasses and proceeds to trick him with his own glasses.
I'm like, how do you not
that
know
was
those
a
are
little
your
weird.
glasses?
He goes into character completely at
Right,
this
he
point.
does.
yeah, I
from
really
this,
like,
this charming little northern Minnesota preacher.
Billy Bob really showed his acting chops with this episode, I think, because he totally became somebody else. And even the fact that he just brushed his hair back, put on some glasses, changed his whole appearance and his mannerisms.
No need for that, young fella.
Yeah, it was good.
But it's still when he's acting like that preacher and all nice and everything, it's just still so menacing. Just when you're watching that, because it's he this character is just can adapt to any situation. Seems unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So and then Gus calls Molly to let her know that he's captured Lorne. To which point I find these two are terrible at conveying information.
Yes.
They have to I got him. You got who? The guy.
Who's this?
What? And just every time these two try to explain what's going on back and forth, there's so many more questions they cause for everyone listening to them.
And the same thing happens when she goes to talk
She goes to tell Bob Odenkirk that both of them need to learn how to convey information effectively.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of like that because, that's
Makes
how,
him feel
it's like
real.
if
It's
Stitch
reminding
tried
the
to tell me a
audience-
story.
In a way, it's reminding the audience that there's more than one thing going on. It's not like the
Yeah.
entire town's
Right.
just trying
Not
to
everyone's
find...
thinking about this
Exactly.
case.
Yeah,
So-
they're thinking about that storm.
Exactly. The storm that's probably coming up that they've been establishing for a while.
Well,
So she wants to go meet Gus and talk to their culprit, but Bob Odenkirk says he's going to go instead.
Right.
Because, she opens with the wrong thing. She should have just said, oh, the
Yeah,
guy
she
in the
should've-
front. She shouldn't have mentioned anything about
Well, I think the problem
Lester.
is these characters, Gus and Molly, are being honest.
Yeah.
They're saying what's true and not trying to lie to get what they want.
Right.
And that's why Malvo can really just own Grimley.
Exactly. They're the foil
He's like,
to...
how could you lie like that? He even says that. He's like, how could you... it's just beyond his own reasoning. He's never met somebody who could be so menacing, and he's never considered being that way himself. So it's just totally alien. It's a different strategy that he's not used to.
I mean, it's kind of like if you ever met in real in your life a pathological liar. You don't understand how they can just lie about just about everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really seems like they get this point across really well in this episode that there are rules and some people follow them, and some people don't. And here's what happens.
Right.
And like even with Malvo going to the police station, he's still able to, with his like inept, I wouldn't say he's inept, but he's kind of a simpleton, that personal trainer. Mm-hmm. He's still able to pull off a biblical plague-like threat on Stavros. And I guess Malvo, you know, he can't have known the amount of significance that would have, but seeing all that Greek Orthodox stuff in his office, he really hit on something big here and causes Stavros Milos to say again towards the end of the episode, God exists, but for a totally different reason, which I thought was pretty cool to bookend it that way.
Right.
And the whole thing, like, he's like freaking out, he's taking so much Adderall, and he's just like what could he possibly be taking before? Like, what did he have before?
It was like heart pills or
yeah.
something.
I think it said acetaminophen, which is Tylenol.
Oh. But he just kept popping like they're candy.
Well, and they did a really good job directing those scenes to make you feel the franticness of the situation.
Yeah,
like
right.
he's sweating. It's a different type of lens.
Like he's freaking out and he's taking his pills to calm down.
Right.
But we all know that's just going to make it worse.
Yeah.
And like the way that they had him in a sharp focus and everything around him was out of focus and really blurry and everything. It's like...
Yeah.
Just how cinematic these episodes are, and TV in general nowadays, it's just crazy to me. Like, it's shot so well. This soundtrack is so great. I actually really like, I know I'm jumping around a lot here, but the little sound or the song they have for Mr. Wrench and Mr. Numbers, the drum beat whenever they're on screen or doing something crazy.
It totally cuts through. It's so different from all the rest of the music they have.
Which they have subtitles for their sign language in this episode.
Finally.
They do.
That's a good scene. I almost forgot about that.
That was a good one.
Yeah, when you finally get to see how they interact, and they
you also find out why they're here.
Mm-hmm. So Lorne Malvo doesn't get arrested. Well, he gets arrested, but he gets let go, and
his entire parish,
exactly,
all his parishioners vouch for him.
The interesting thing, I don't think he ever got read his Miranda rights, so I thought he was going to use that.
That's true.
Be a little
or
too
they didn't
canny
show
for
it.
someone who had nothing to worry about. Just like procedure. I mean, he's got his own alibis.
Right.
True.
So Gus catches him as he's leaving and says his real name, which Molly has just deduced by talking to the people at the hotel.
Yeah,
and
that
he
was
turns
another
around.
moment. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
That was another moment where you're like, Lorne Malvo, why the heck did you write your real name? You would think like that, another mastermind moment where you're like, did he drop the ball here? But no way he dropped the ball. It's another, I'm leaving breadcrumbs just to screw with you guys and tell you I can still beat you.
Because it's a game for him.
Right.
Yeah.
So he catches him, says his name. Lorne turns around and says something like, when you can solve the reason why
humans are so good at seeing green. Why we can see so many shades of green.
Yeah.
Says when you figure that out, you'll have your answer.
Yeah. And of course...
Is it the answer to how you can lie that way?
Right.
Yeah.
Because humans are predators.
Yes.
As Molly explains in the next scene.
No, humans...
Or they're hunters.
No, they don't want to be eaten by predators.
Yeah.
So like they can discern those shades of green because there might be a panther in there or something, or like something. That's my interpretation.
I thought you said the other way around.
No, she basically that's exactly what she said next time. Like
so they
it
can
came up.
discern the
I'm not being
predators.
very clear today.
That's fine. So that basically ends what happens with those characters in this episode. But Lester gets into trouble with Wrench and Numbers. Mm-hmm. They capture him and throw him in the trunk of their car.
Yeah.
Right, because they've decided that his plan was to sleep with Sam Hess's wife, murder him, and steal the insurance money so they could run off together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which apparently they are here to avenge Sam Hess. That's their purpose.
Yep.
And I liked, we actually listened to the episode with some commentary on it after the fact, and the writer went into how Lester is just all about solving the situation right now. He's not thinking about the future. So that style that Lester has of getting himself deeper and deeper into trouble just to get himself in survival mode right now.
Right.
It really clashes with Lorne Malvo's, like, I'm thinking way ahead. I know I'm in a tough situation, but I'm going to work this out and make it work. So I like Lester's energy on this of like, I'm going to punch a cop. I got to get out of here.
Right.
Exactly. So is taken out to the frozen lake. They're going to throw him in, but he's found a taser in the back of the
That's
car.
the taser he stole from his brother last episode before they played with the machine gun.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't actually notice that, so
Nice.
good catch.
Yeah.
So he uses that. He tases Mr. Numbers, tries to escape. The cop won't give him a ride back to town, so he punches the cop.
Well, now I'm going to have to arrest you, man.
Yeah, that cop was great.
But Mr. Wrench and Mr. Numbers notice that he's being arrested.
And they go get themselves into a bar fight.
Yep.
Which was great because I just thought that was part of their relationship.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, they're just having a falling out. And then,
Right, because in the diner, you'd seen them getting really mad at each other as well.
Right.
So they kind of established that tension.
Yeah, that smile on Mr. Numbers' face at the end. Oh, I
Yep.
can't wait to watch the next episode, honestly. I think it's going to be great.
So the episode title was Eating the Blame, which is another parable from the same Zen master.
Can I just...
All right, I'm just going to read the story as it's written. Circumstances arose one day which delayed preparation of the dinner of a Sato Zen master, Fugai, and his followers. In haste, the cook went to the garden and curved his knife and cut off the tops of green vegetables, chopped them together, and made soup. Unaware that in his haste he had included a part of a snake in the vegetables, the followers of Fugai thought they had never tasted such great soup. But when the master himself found the snake's head in his bowl, he summoned the cook. "What is this?" he demanded, holding up the head of the snake. "Oh, thank you, master," replied the cook, taking the morsel and eating it quickly.
So trying to act like that's a perk of the soup, or like, oh, the
about-
best part.
Right.
Yeah, and also let me get rid of the evidence really quick.
Not trying to blame anyone else, not trying to explain the situation, just moving on from it as fast as possible. That's what I take away from it.
Yeah, where do you think you see that?
I don't know. It's not as direct as the other episode titles, in my opinion.
Yeah, I might have said something about Grimly and the fact that he's so open and honest about the mistakes that he's made.
Or maybe...
Yes, that is actually very true.
Or maybe it was like what you're saying about... Lester, sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe it's from Lester, just like basically eating the snake head just so he can move on, and then also still getting into trouble.
Right.
So
Right.
maybe that's what it's about.
Well, and these are Buddhist parables, correct?
Yeah, Zen
Which
Buddhism.
is where you'd be strictly vegetarian. And he's trying to appease his master by eating a snake's head, which is only going to put him into an even deeper pit.
Right.
So I think that's kind of illustrative of Lester doing that same thing, like
Yeah.
throwing himself deeper into trouble by just eating one problem at a time and snowballing the entire thing.
Not looking ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Just dealing with it right. Oh. Well, with that,
Show's canceled now.
another great episode. How do you feel about the two as a whole?
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely like draws you more into the world, and kind of the momentum is definitely getting to where it needs to
Yeah.
be now.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the varying degrees of cop competence they show in the
Yeah.
show.
And that lieutenant who never seems to leave the bathroom.
Yeah.
Hey, kind of like
They've
Better
got the
Call
lieutenant,
Saul.
they've got the sheriff, and they are both very rigid. They have the way they want things to be done.
Right.
And it's that or nothing. And then you've got Gus, who I think he sees. He can see what's going on. He can put the solution together in his head, but he doesn't know how to do the homework to actually nail someone down and
Right.
catch them. And then finally, we've got Molly, who she
Just
can put the
been
pieces together in her
sidelined.
head, and she can do the work to actually bring him in.
If anyone
But-
would let her. Yeah.
Nobody will get out of the way to let her do it.
Yeah.
See, like Bob Odenkirk, his character, like the fact that like he doesn't even seem to want to be a cop. He basically just is going around and just.
No, I think he wants to be a cop.
mean,
he
not
wants
a
to be
cop.
like a friendly, hey, howdy, neighbor cop. He's not in a position to
But
really
he's-
get any hard.
Right, he wants to be a Barney Fife.
Yeah.
cop.
Yeah, like he's basically just pretending like everything's okay, and just kind of seems to be doing all the cases at like such a leisurely like pace. Like he doesn't seem to be doing any kind of research, or he has no drive to actually like get these huge cases
Yeah.
done. He just wants to do the minor things.
Well,
Like,
he's got
But he likes the power.
Stormwatch 2000, what was it, 2007?
Yeah, getting them
2000,
snowplow
yeah.
drivers out there.
Yeah, he likes putting Molly in her place, though. That's
Yeah.
his favorite.
Well, it's because Molly actually wants to do work
for him. Yeah.
So, yeah, I definitely enjoy these 2 episodes. Like I said, it's just like this is kind of the hook. Like it gets a hook into you with these 2.
And there are 2 really big coincidences in these episodes. One being just happening to find that briefcase full of money,
right?
And the other one being Colin Hanks just happening to see Lauren Malvo.
Yeah.
The really nice thing was the coincidence didn't solve anything.
Right.
It just made it more complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think probably the other big coincidence would be the ending, that Mr. Wrench and Mr. Numbers just happen to be put in the exact same cell as Lester, even though they're in an empty jailhouse.
That's true.
It could be that's like a drunk tank or something. So, since I thought maybe punching a police officer might have been a bigger offense than just a drunk tank thing, but it's probably just like one cage just for like overnight stays.
Mm-hmm.
Only have to hose down one cell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering what the cops are thinking, bringing Wrench and Numbers in and seeing them just loom over this little other guy that's in there.
Yep.
But they probably aren't paying attention. But yeah, that one ended really well, actually. I liked the song that they chose, and on the commentary they said this was the end of the 4-episode package that we sent to the critics. So we wanted to end strong, and it really made me want to watch more, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm hooked in, and I get the critical acclaim now.
It was tough not to watch more episodes.
Yeah, totally.
So I think we all recommend it.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. It's time for Trope Talk. As you consume stories, you begin to identify literary devices, character archetypes, classic scenarios, and more. Whether it's the supervillain who explains his scheme to the hero after capturing him, the monster of the weak formula of X-Files and Buffy, or a will they, won't they sitcom pastiche, these patterns are collectively referred to as tropes. For our initial run, we'll be discussing the basics. What's today's trope, Tank? What are today's tropes, Tank?
Today we're going to be talking about 2 similar but distinct tropes, McGuffins and plot devices. The McGuffin is the first one we'll talk about. That is an item that is used to advance the plot. It's something for the characters to go after. It's
something that doesn't really do anything in the plot, but it's a goal.
Right. It's an item whose only purpose is the goal of the story.
Right. And this can be done really well, or it can feel kind of like a cop-out,
absolutely,
depending on how it's handled.
Right. And some classic examples would be the Maltese Falcon. It would be a bunch of money. It would be basically something that...
Some of the artifacts in Indiana Jones.
Right.
The data disc in Mission Impossible.
The Philosopher's Stone in Harry Potter.
Yep. Or my personal favorite, the one that really makes the case for it being a great trope, is the rug from Big Lebowski.
Absolutely. It ties the whole trope together. One of the things that really distinguishes a MacGuffin from a plot device is that the MacGuffin itself doesn't matter.
Right.
What it is, kind of a good test would be if you can replace whatever the MacGuffin is with a pulled pork sandwich, and it still makes sense. Right? Like...
Yeah.
It doesn't affect the plot itself.
Right. We're on a quest to find the best pulled pork sandwich, or whatever it is. Or some thieves break in and steal Lebowski's pulled pork sandwich, and he's going to get it back.
They break in, they urinate on the pulled pork sandwich,
which would be a great reason for revenge.
Harry Potter needs to find the best pulled pork sandwich.
Right. I don't know,
because the evil wizard wants it.
Yes,
I'm hungry.
I wouldn't be as compelled by Indiana Jones if they were going into these tombs for a pulled pork sandwich, though. I know that they use a lot of MacGuffins in Indiana Jones.
I'd watch it.
I would definitely watch that.
Totally. Then by comparison, a plot device is an item that serves to further the plot, but isn't the actual focus of the plot.
Right.
So you would have something that would be like the One Ring in The Lord of the Rings. It's a device
the sonic screwdriver in Doctor Who.
Right. It's there to be like, okay, here's a convenient way to pivot the plot around, keep it moving, but the actual story is about things happening around this device.
So it's like it's useful. It's a useful device.
Yeah,
wow.
Right. There are lots of subcategories of plot device. Mm-hmm. Like there's a Deus Ex Machina, just something that happens to be super powerful.
Right.
Like the sonic screwdriver. Oh, it does anything I need it to do for the plot.
Right. Setting B-52 does barbed wire.
Yep.
because we can't think of anything better in the show.
You've got your James Bond gadgets as well.
Right.
That always happen to come in right at the climax of the story.
Yeah, and absolutely, and like you said, Stitch, a lot of times it can be because they couldn't think of anything better.
Exactly.
A lot of the times it can be very lazy. It can be, like I said, Deus Ex Machina, where it's just God comes down from the heavens and fixes everything.
How are we going to get this character out of the situation that we built?
Right.
We'll just use this convenient plot device. But sometimes it's the One Ring, which is like really essential to the story of Lord of the Rings. So it, like many tropes, it can be used really well, or it can be used lazily.
Absolutely, and it's kind of one of those things like, and it ties back as well to a Chekhov's gun, because a plot device can be frequently is a Chekhov's gun, in the sense that it's something that you'll see early on in the story, and like, oh, here, just carry this for me, and then later on that turns out to be the pivotal key that opens the door.
Exactly.
Are there like plot device characters? I know you saw
actually,
a lot of
absolutely.
You could say that Gandalf is a plot device character.
Yeah, like
he shows up just in time
battle.
to fix everything.
Right.
Another plot device could be like sealed demons or forgotten super weapons in the Buffy series. There's always something like that comes up mid-season.
Yeah. Or it's like, why don't you use that thing? Oops.
Sorry.
Gross. Gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buffy. Trying to think if we have anything else meaningful to say about.
You know what?
these.
We went super long with the Fargo review.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is
fun.
a pretty simple set of tropes.
Yeah. So I guess we can
really
wrap-
easy to
yeah.
understand, but this is terminology we're going to use constantly
Yeah.
on the show.
Absolutely.
So-
Yeah. And most tropes are the kind of things once you're aware of them, once you're cognizant of them, you start to see them everywhere, and they kind of just start to become a part of the vocabulary that you use to think about any story that you consume.
And there's some that are going to be huge discussions,
Right.
like Chekhov's gun.
Right. And this is just kind of it's a very simple literary device. It's a word or a letter as opposed to a sentence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Plot devices and McGuffins.
And you.
And you.
I want a McMuffin. I want a McGuffin.
Now it's time for Bad Show Bingo.
We need one more sting.
Yeah!
We need one more sting on that. Oh, that was just the cold open.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now it's the intro.
This is a pretty good theme song.
I mean, a lot of these have really good theme songs back in the day, and they make you think, oh, well, it's a really good show, and then you actually watch the show and it's bad. It's like Gilligan's Island or Brady Bunch.
Look at that explosion, man.
Right.
That title sequence.
Oh, no, he's got a thing.
All right.
Uh-huh.
So that was MacGyver.
Yep.
The episode title was Trumbo's World.
That was MacGyver, all right.
So
That was awful.
What was the main character's name?
MacGyver?
I think it was MacGyver.
Okay.
We're gonna need a guide when we get there, McGuire.
MacGyver.
Hope that won't be a problem.
Just in case people pick this up in the middle and aren't sure what they're watching.
I guess we better get ready.
Grandma turns on the TV and it happens to be on.
But I'm not sure. It would have helped if they said his name a little bit
Right.
more often.
Right.
MacGyver!
What's his name again?
What a mess.
Michelangelo?
Who cares? We won!
Grandma would love that show.
Do you want to explain what happened in that episode, Stitch?
I want to, I can't. Literally, like,
I don't know if you could maybe make it so it would fill about 45 minutes of airtime.
like I said, it was an episode where they had 10 minutes of idea and they had 44 minutes to fill.
Oh, in case you're unsure, he's knocking on it to indicate that it's empty.
Oh, I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
When the fire stopped and the
Yeah.
empty line was...
Right, they're out of gas.
All right, man. They got 44 minutes to fill, and they got about maybe 10 minutes of ideas, all right? It's like, I don't know, ants.
Yeah, that was something else. And they have that cold open that has nothing to do with the
Absolutely
main episode.
nothing. There's not even
It
like
was,
a recurring character. There's not like a contact. Like, hey, I need you to go talk to. Nope.
Yeah. It was just MacGyver stealing someone's bath towel.
And then he boiled someone's water. And then he broke into a woman's room wearing nothing but his towel, and she came with him willingly.
And they rappelled down a cliff and escaped on a raft.
You know,
No, ma'am, I don't.
Wait, you didn't?
I don't think it's the same.
But I can't do that. I don't know how to do that.
Oh, God.
I forgot my line. I don't.
That was some really good action on the river.
Right?
Yeah.
Where they got stuck on that rock for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
In the river wasn't very exciting at all. It was just kind of like, oh, it's slightly rocky.
Nothing was exciting, and I really blame it on that music. This is supposed to be sort of this like action-packed sequence with this
Guys, we're
music.
stuck on a rock. Guys, we're stuck on this rock.
You want to
Music makes it like an elevator scene, that like really lame
Yeah.
like
It
low
was
key
just like,
synthesizer
Little
music.
elevator music for the river.
Yeah.
Like literally that river that they were on, I've tubed like with an inner tube down rivers like that, and it's like, well, this isn't anything.
Hey yo, river.
The music was like the 90s action equivalent of soap opera music.
Right.
Like someone was just in there doing one take with the keyboard synthesizer.
They might have been next door to the Days of Our Live office. and
Exactly.
just-
Carnivorous ant attack.
Ooh, listen to that music.
The drum machine's kicking out.
So then they got to the jungle.
Did they ever?
And he met his friend.
His friend who's always drawn everything.
Yeah, he's always just drawing stuff.
It was just
Still
his
drawing
Tuesday.
pictures of everything, Charlie? What a guy.
What a jab.
How you doing, guy? So,
Was that serious? Still drawing pictures of everything, man.
Give me that.
it's been very strange phenomenon.
That's
And it establishes a relationship, like the guy who draws, like
oh, it's my
or
good
my
old friend. I've never mentioned him before, but he's my good old friend.
Let's rib on each other a bit, huh?
yeah.
He makes fun of his drawing.
Yeah. And then
God,
they go out into the jungle and they meet this guy on a horse.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
He's a fancy lad.
I am Lucian Trumbo. This is my land and you're trespassing.
What is happening?
He's
on a horse.
A horse seems like a bad
thing to have in the middle of forest.
No, they beat the guy in the suit first.
He was also a fancy lad. Lots of
Yeah.
fancy lads in the jungle.
Yeah, and it bothered me that he was wearing a white suit in the middle of a jungle.
Yeah, that wasn't the problem for
That's
me.
a
but-
classic.
What
look,
do you wear
though,
in the
like,
jungle? I mean, that's all I wear whenever
I mean,
I go to the jungle.
the point of being in the jungle is not to wear anything.
It reminds me of like a Bond movie or something where you go to Cuba and there's the guy in the white suit.
But he
It's
wasn't the
just
bad guy, is the thing.
Well, anyway, I don't think it was that big a deal that he was wearing a white suit.
So, like, the plot of the episode was
Ants.
there's like a 2 mile by
4 square miles.
4 square miles of killer ants coming towards
Right.
this guy's plantation.
Carnivorous, talkative ants.
Yeah, really loud ants, always making tons of noise.
Eating all rocks.
yeah, what do they do to make these ants?
Are they screaming now? Are those screaming ants?
I think he's screaming.
They eat his friend. They eat MacGyver's friend,
With the magic camera.
who has the magic camera. It's an incredible camera.
It really is. You just point it at one spot and take pictures, and it just goes to different locations every time you click the shutter.
And he's just
Wow.
taking pictures of multiple locations at once.
Man, this is what I like to do. I take pictures
Oh,
of
now he's on
ants.
the ground? I like his intensive photography stance of like, man,
I'm standing there and just
pointing
pointing.
and holding his camera.
Yep.
And it can
great.
get such a detailed
Right,
shot.
like macro photography
Yeah.
to wide angle landscapes.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Not
that,
even in
Oh
the
yeah.
same town.
Also, it's a point and shoot camera that can also
Right.
take videos. Apparently,
Yeah. I don't know. It really reminded me of being in like biology class, like the footage of the animals and the footage of the
Yeah.
ants.
Oh, yeah.
They were
It was-
clearly relying heavily on stock footage
yeah,
Right.
to make the episode.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
like really old stock footage with horrible artifacting.
And then they made a big point about MacGyver fixing things with his MacGyver skills
Right.
for no reason sometimes. Like,
It
there's
just
a
to fill
woman-
the minutes.
there's a
man.
woman trapped under a boat
That was moving.
that clearly they carry to the
Right.
water.
They're nowhere near the water, and there's a boat.
And he
so
has
it's-
enough strength.
See,
to,
I
like,
just
He's
hold
just
it up.
holding the boat there after she's long gone, just
Yeah.
to.
the slight incline.
Pulling him in. They're pulling him in.
that's pretty.
Scared of ants.
Why were they still holding that boat anyway? I mean,
Yeah, what were they trying to accomplish?
He was trying to show off.
Man,
Well, then he hears his
tough.
friend getting eaten alive by
Right.
the ants.
Well, he's just holding his boat up.
So I just like the idea that it's just the villagers messing with MacGyver, and literally they're just trying to make him work extra
What if
for it.
MacGyver is just like
What if everyone feels
he's trapped in a fantasy world? He's mentally ill, and everything around him is just people like catering to him to make him feel special, like setting up these theme park attractions of like intelligent ants that learn how to ride boats.
That's why
just
most
so he can save the day and be a hero.
Yeah.
That's why most of
see
the
it.
stuff he comes up with is always just like a simple machine. It's always overly complicated for just something simply that could have been simply done.
Yeah. There was a lot of nothing happening in that episode as well.
Yeah.
There was about a 45-second shot of just cut to MacGyver, cut to the other guy, cut to the horse, cut to MacGyver.
No, if they would have thrown the
Cut
horse
to
in
the
there, it would have
other
worth
guy.
it. His pants are just really tight and weird.
I can't get over
I like
it.
5-star.
There was like 8 cuts where nobody said anything.
Is this Twilight?
As I understand, things about the river flowing up here to tributary into it.
Just no dialogue, no reactions, just cut. I mean,
Yeah.
they're just killing time.
That doesn't need to be a 44-minute show.
It just felt really uninspired, the entire episode.
Yeah, so bland.
This is the most
have
anticlimactic flamethrower scene I've ever seen.
I never thought a flamethrower would be lame.
They have 4 square miles of ants to deal with, and they're just picking them off like.
He's got a little fire.
I'm just going to light some of these branches now. I'm going to get the rest later.
It was like the blandest action show I've ever seen.
And
in my
on top
life.
of like, there was just so much just things that
I'm,
any writer, any producer worth anything. I mean, Henry Winkler was the executive producer. The man should know something.
You'd think.
well,
But
and
like this ludicrous plot being delivered with the most straight face possible, just like, yep, this giant horde of carnivorous ants. 4 of them got on this intern and they've eaten him to the bones.
Right.
And they're learning how to knock leaves out of trees so they can use the leaves to cross the moat because they're.
What was the deal with the gunfire that we heard at the end?
They learned how to fire a gun.
What the heck?
They got guns.
They found the gun he threw in the lake earlier. Well, that was I made that joke, but what was actually happening there?
as
They
he was
learned how to fire a gun.
Because nothing ever
No.
came into play.
Oh, like are you talking about like when he was shooting in the air?
Was he shooting in the
Yeah,
air?
the guy was like, no,
Yeah.
when he was shooting in the air.
Yeah, like I think he was doing that to kind of communicate, like tell him like, oh well, something's happening. I can't remember what.
Right.
I don't know. I just can't
All
get
in all,
over.
a tightly edited sequence.
Yeah.
No, it was weird the way they thought they wanted to have these establishing shots, like the close up of the razor wire. Oh my God, that shot was amazing! Wow, that was like the worst camera work I've ever seen.
It also probably was like a half-second clip, and like you just be on screen for a full second.
People won't
Yeah.
understand.
Cut the frame rate.
Chances are those
Yeah.
guys are all washed up.
Oh,
Washed up because they're in the water.
Right,
In that early scene,
Right.
and weird close-ups of ants,
right. For no benefit to the
just
scene.
awkward, poor footage.
Hey guys, remember how there's ants?
Yeah, don't forget, there's ants here.
Also, this guy's name is MacGyver.
Yeah, don't forget, his
Yeah.
name's MacGyver.
MacGyver.
Let's get him naked for no reason too.
Well, and
That's for grandma.
my favorite part of the episode was the part when he just like lamely narrated the craft that he was MacGyvering. I was like, oh, I'm gonna fall asleep,
Stir, don't
Stir.
shake in a couple drops of acid.
like pretending like it's a legitimate recipe for this
and-
stupid soup.
He just seems bored. Like everything he does, he just seems bored.
His
Like,
magical beekeeping outfit that he made, they spent more time showing him making his arts and crafts than the
and
plot-centric
and then he
explosive that he
put
needed.
something inside the suit, so he had to rip it off at the end anyway.
And that was smart.
Oh no! What are you doing?
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Now you're fucking 3 times that many ants. You guys killed the other guy.
But he's MacGyver.
Now let's just be stupid.
Grandma's getting a little toasty.
Why did you even bother with the protective outfit? You're gonna take it off when
It's a waste of time.
I think
that
ants
was real
crawled
smart.
up inside of his airtight
yeah.
beekeeper's suit.
So all of that happened.
Mm-hmm.
His friend died. The plantation owner's assistant died. And then they finally washed away the ants. And MacGyver and him were just hanging out. Like, boy, howdy. I guess it all worked out in the end.
Hey, why don't you come see me next year?
Just come on over.
Yeah,
see
those
how I'm
ants
doing.
on the mountains.
Never
were-
mind. Never mind the people that have died.
Never mind the other 1.5 miles by 1.5 miles of ants that went around the ranch.
Exactly. It's just a feel-good ending to an episode with a lot of death in it.
I mean, you say a feel-good ending. I didn't feel good at the end of that episode because I will not get that 44 minutes back. That's 44 minutes of my life gone.
Yeah.
That was MacGyver, ladies and gentlemen.
That was really bad.
MacGyver's possibly a crime against humanity.
I think it
I
might
wouldn't
be.
Needs to be avenged.
No, I want. What do you? It's not even so much that it's that bad. It's just boring. It's like there's action technically, but the synth ruins everything.
And
Well, you don't like his lazy, not quite running that he does through half the episode?
yeah.
There you have it, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen. That's MacGyver. We've watched yet another bad show for your entertainment. We'll be back in 2 weeks with episodes 5 and 6 of Fargo, another trope, and another horrible show.
Okay.
So, another episode of Frozen North next week, and then an episode of Fool's Lantern in 2. We'll see you guys later. Anyone else got anything to say?
MacGyver.
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 You ruined it, Shanna.
There are some days that look so bright.
There are some lies that seem so dark.
How could you walk against the wind?
How could you stop the earth go round?
You never know which road to take.
One never knows which way goes down.
Will you get backwards to the shore?
Are you ready for the fight?
Our intro theme, the Gypsy Song, was made available via Creative Commons by the Freak Fandango Orchestra.
The newspaper ticker theme was made available via Creative Commons Attribution License by Mike Koenig. And the showcase theme, Booga Blue, was made available via the Creative Commons Attribution License by the U.S. Army Blues.
There are some things you cannot change.
There are some ways you cannot play.
There are some thoughts
Trumbo's World. Trumbo's World.
All right, let's start over.
Trumbo's World.
Just get yourself in here.